I'm gonna let March introduce super quick Hill Street, and we can get started.
All right. Hello everybody. Obviously I know quite a few of you, but those of you that don't know me, my name is Margaret or Marge. I'm co-founder of the Hill Street Country Club. Dinah should probably be in here shortly. But yeah, first of all, thank you to everybody that's here joining us tonight. This is pretty incredible doing our first like virtual exhibition. I mean, it's definitely a lot of learning lessons, but it's kind of amazing. Um, Also, really want to thank you to Delana and Ollie for just honestly coming up with this concept, and the execution was amazing. The amount of artists as well. Thank you guys all for contributing and being part of this. This is really incredible just to have like so many people involved with this, and just a really refreshing, nice start to this kind of hectic 2020. So this is a really awesome opportunity for us to be able to host you guys and be a part of this. And as always, thank you so much to Link Soul. They are one of our partners that we utilize their space here in Oceanside, and that's where our physical gallery has been. So they have been pretty incredible homies throughout our entire business opportunity and process. So yeah, just a little brief intro. Like I said, me and Dinah Polanitz are business partners. We have been owners and operators of the Hill Street for, I think this year made it 9 years actually. We used to have an old gallery space in closer to like downtown Oceanside, but like I mentioned, we moved in with Link Soul and have been with them for a couple years now, like I think more than I'm thinking, but I kind of want to say maybe like 6 years. But yeah, John Ashworth and Jeff Cunningham have been amazing as far as just supporting us with all of our visions. And we hopefully have some really exciting things coming up with our future with them. And then just throughout this whole process, we've been able to just continue establishing like more connections with our community. Obviously, this is a perfect example of it, of just having so many minds come together and so many talented people. And it's all very, I guess I can say relatable. Like this is probably one of the more relatable shows that we've had for sure. But it's just been a really great opportunity to be involved with this for so long. I'm actually originally from Colorado, but my mom is from Oceanside. So I have a pretty deep connection to the community for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of it about us. But I mean, you guys, if you ever have any questions or seeking out volunteer opportunities or future shows, you can always hit us up through our Instagram or through our website, through the email. It's been also a really great opportunity to expand our staff this year, or just this past year, I guess. We were really around Delana and Astrid. Addie's been really helpful as well, but then even just the homey little partners too, like we really have created an entire family, and I feel so grateful for that for sure. So yeah, I don't think that's it, but let me know if you guys want anything else, but I'll pass it over to y'all.
Thank you so much, March. It's been a pleasure to work with you since I don't know, it's been like 6 years already since I got to know Hill Street for the first time. So it's been a minute since we've been working together. So thank you for everything. Hi everyone. Just super quick intro. My name is Alejandro Arreguin Villegas. I am an educator, organizer, and now curator from Mexico, living in Oceanside, California. And I am it's an honor to be working with 10 amazing artists from San Diego and Anaheim and Puerto Rico, Florida. So I am very glad and that you guys came to my life, and I got to see your work through Instagram, and that's how I got to know everyone. So um, it's an honor to have you guys here. Super quick about myself. Um, I am a teaching artist for the Mobile Art Workshop, and the Mobile Art Workshop is a program funded by the California Arts Council, and we partner with the Oceanside Library to provide monthly workshops for 100 people from our community. So we provide workshops that are led by teaching artists from our own community as well. And everything is super accessible for students that or folks that are having a hard time even in the pandemic. Is the pandemic has allowed us to care and provide for our community in a different way. And I'm very glad that you guys are all part of this. So again, thank you so much. And I have to give some space for my friend Delana. If you want to say hi super quick.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Ale. Thank you, Marge. Thank you, Astrid, who is behind like making sure Zoom's on top of everything. And thank you, Chad, for doing the virtual exhibit. And Dinah, of course, for everything. And thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm so excited. This is like my first time. I've been at Hill Street for like 8 months. And this is my first time like taking on a show, organizing everything myself, making all the decisions, and then working with an artist like Alejandro is just, you know, he's so talented and gifted. And then as a curator, it's just been like, it's beautiful. So this show is like really emotional for me, especially because of like what ended up happening when we saw the images together and me and Ale started talking, and we'll all talk later around 6 p.m. after the virtual exhibit and have a Q&A where everyone can ask questions or share. But yeah, it's gonna be a beautiful show, and thank you all so much for being here. So we'll get to the exhibit, and go ahead, Ale. Thank you.
Perfect. And then super quick, I just want to give a shout out to our artists that you'll get a chance to meet with them. Thank you so much, Beto Soto, Angelica, William, Camargo, Jezabeth, Roca, Gonzalez. Thank you so much. My brother Javier Arreguin, my homie Charlie, Juan Carlos Beaz, Magdalena. Thank you so much, Ricky, and Isabel and Lissa. Thank you everyone for being part of this show. And yeah, let's get started with our virtual. It's my first time doing this, so thank you so much for being here as well. So let me pull it up super quick. Oops. Where is it? Just give me one quick second. I kind of lost something. There you go. So the way this is gonna work is we're gonna get the chance to hear our artists, featured artists. And sorry about the background noise. We're gonna get a chance to hear our featured artists and hear a little bit about who they are and what they do. So let's get started. It is. Again, shout out to Chad for creating this virtual gallery. So I want to get started with this duet that I love. Beto, oops, sorry, my computer is kind of freaking out. There you go. What is going on? There, sorry, the computers. Let's do that one more time. Perfect. All right. There you go. Cool. So this is our first pair for the day. We have Beto and Angelica. I really love their work, and I'm excited to hear about their work. So we can get started with Angelica.
All right. Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I'm on my phone, so I can't see it as well. My name is Angelica. First of all, I just want to say like how honored I am to be a part of this process. Thank you guys for all your hard work and making this come together also. And I'm very honored to be with all these other artists because there's just so much talent and passion behind everything. But this photo, I took it with my friend Stephanie, and we do a lot of collaborative projects together. And before, I did not have a name. Before the show, I didn't have a name for this photo. But upon reflection and kind of just looking at it and thinking about like what it represents for me and how it makes me feel, I decided to title it Mejor Sola que Mal Acompañada, because like Stephanie, her presence in my life, it just kind of, it has showed me that message. And then looking at the photo, to me, it looks like she's holding herself. And it's representative to me, it's a portrait. So it also shows like her personality, creativity, her strength, and the things that she taught me. And one of the main things that represents for me is just to love yourself and focus on your own healing and who you are. And it's better to be alone and focusing on that and making yourself feel good than trying to chase companionship of just people in general that don't value you. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Angelica. Oops, here we go again. So something that we were really figuring out is, actually I'll talk about that in a second, but now we have Beto. I had the pleasure to meet Beto at the Azure project, so and work with him. So it's an honor to have him here as well. If Beto is here, you can have some time
Yes.
to put up your photo.
Hi, you guys. Thank you for having me be part of this like amazing exhibition. It looks great even through virtual reality. So yeah, I'm Beto Soto. I'm part of the Azure project and I work with Ale at the Azure project. This photo of Jaime, and he's in here. This photo is part of a series called Flamboyant, and the goal of my series in Flamboyant is to express my queer friends' identity as queer folks and celebrate that, and break gender binaries through images. This one, most of the photos have been improv, so the coloring has been inspired by their surroundings in their homes. You can take a look at more of the images online if you'd like on my website. But yeah, a sense of that I get through all these images is like a sense of home when I'm around my queer friends, because I feel very accepted and supported by them. And especially when we, kiki and, throw our, our shade, it's always so much fun to just like be accepted in that way and, not have a negative background around that. So yeah, this is just a celebratory image series that I'm creating throughout the years. And yeah.
Thank you. Something that I love about both of your work together, and I think that's I'm very interested in like hearing you kind of like your experience by being paired with Angelica. So I don't know if you guys have anything to say about I don't know your partner's photo, or how did it feel being next to someone like Angelica and vice versa? How was that experience for both of you?
I think there's an intersection to both of our works. I think we're both celebrating and embracing a person that is in our lives. And once I saw her photo, I immediately thought about this image. And I don't know, I just think it's amazing that they're both kind of similar in the way that we shot it.
Oh, thank you.
So first of all, your photo is so beautiful, and I do agree with you. I think they go very well together. And they both are portraits of people that are important in our life and have taught us things, and like them showing us their vulnerability and allowing us to trust them to take their photo means a lot. But yeah, I think it's a beautiful photo, and I'm honored to be part of it with you.
Likewise.
Thank you so much, everyone. So you think you should do Q&A towards the end, Elena? Should we have some folks who, I don't know, maybe ask some questions to our artists?
I think we should wait till the end, just so nobody feels like they're waiting forever for their turn. But I'm so eager to hear everyone's like talk about their art too, but I think we should wait till the end.
Yeah, totally. Then two very inspirational artists that I've met through the time is Isabel. I've gone through with Isabel through so much in school and in personal life. So yeah, I'm very also happy to have her here tonight, as well as Lissa Corona, a very inspiring artist. Um, if I see
Lisa couldn't be
Isabel,
tonight.
okay, no problem. We have Isabel. If you wanna talk a little bit about your piece and who you are.
Sure, and thank you. Like everyone said, I will definitely reiterate. I'm really grateful to be amongst all the artists in the show. Super honored. Thank you so much for considering me. This picture actually is something that I worked on when I was in school still. And I, like Angelica, didn't really have a title for it, but kind of looking back and kind of looking forward to like everything that I have. It's definitely a character that I've kind of reused in a lot of images, like this idea of a ghost. And I feel like for myself now, sorry, I'm gonna drink some water really quick.
Thank you. No problem.
I just feel like the ghost is something that I continue to return to because it's a feeling that I feel pretty constantly, like this sense of almost like not supposed to be here or like not supposed to belong, but kind of inserting yourself into this story regardless. So, and like because it's a ghost, it could really be anyone and kind of that feeling. I feel like especially in kind of this composition, because that is actually me under the ghost sheet, it could be anyone that feels this same kind of cycle, I guess you could say. But it's not that it's a fear of being noticed or anything. It's like, no, I'll be here regardless of what you want to put on me, essentially. So yeah, so the title of the piece is Siempre Conmigo. And I feel like that ghost is, it really is a part of me now.
Thank you so much, Isabel. I know that Lissa is not here, but I'm pretty sure she's grateful to be your partner in this project. I don't know if you have any thoughts about or comments, just like how it was, just like seeing your photo next to Lissa's and something that you felt about it.
Yeah, seeing them together is really interesting because I feel like it almost places the ghost more visibly, and even kind of the cactus in the background. I feel like it brings a little bit more like life to the image. Like it's when it shifts, it's like the greenery and then like the posters of the building, they kind of mesh well together. So I feel like it's really interesting as a lenticular image. It adds a lot more depth even to the both pictures that we have. So I think it's really cool.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing. All right. So now we have Jezabeth and William. A pleasure to have you both here. Maybe we can start with Jezabeth and hearing you a little bit about your work.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I can't. Hi everyone. Thank you for having me. This is really exciting. I'm a little bit nervous. So I have been documenting my family probably since like 2016. And normally, or a lot of the times, I focus like on my grandparents' house, and it's like really amazing to me that like I've been able to create work with them like throughout the years, and just like being in this living room and this kitchen. This is a very intimate space for me because this is like where I grew up. And ever since moving to the US and kind of being in between the US and Puerto Rico, I always like gravitate towards this space. This photograph kind of shows like the different personalities within our family. And I like my sister, like the way that she's looking at the camera and like just like the way that she's eating. And my grandma next to her, she's like really tender and she's always caring for us and always feeding us, even like sometimes you just can't eat and she's like, I'll make you something. So I feel like it has like these like very intimate like personalities that normally I get to see, but like now I can share them with everyone. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You.
Beautiful. And then we have William Camargo here as well, I believe. If William is here.
Yeah, aquí estoy.
Oh, hola, William. Bienvenido.
Gracias, gracias.
We like to talk a little bit about your piece.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, I love the combination of both the works as well. But this is part of a series that I've been working on for a couple of years now, and really kind of trying to focus on this idea of kind of rascachismo, which is this kind of tendency to like make do with what you got. And I was trying to think about the way in art still life is a very kind of minimalistic gesture, and in Latinx households, I think a lot of the resourcefulness from our communities, and I think I wanted to show that that is also a beautiful gesture and a beautiful image, because I do kind of I always talk about like this minimalism movement in households, which is not very inept to Latinx communities. So this is part of and it's in my house. This is my mom's dresser, which is inundated with like iconography. Everything she keeps there is also for like a reason, right? She never really throws anything away.
Relatable.
Definitely, definitely. And and this is just something super quick to add. It was amazing seeing like what artists remind me of other artists and like seeing their connections in their work. So I'm very interested in Jezabeth and in your experience photographing your own families, like the spaces that surround them. So do you have anything to say about like seeing your photographs together? And same for you, Jezabeth.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go. No, I mean, when I saw like Jezabeth's name on the show, I was like, I hopefully think I know this is going to be like the person that I'm going to be like partnered with in the work and the in this image, because I think this kind of Remedio Casero is something that's also this kind of safe space for us, especially now that we're spending a lot of time. Some folks are spending time away from home because they live here, but I think that that is a very much kind of like interconnectedness that we have, from the different diasporas, like Borinquen and even like kind of like I am Chicanx, and I think but my family still carries on those kind of traditions in the States, but it's very much kept inside, right? And I think it's a safe space for them and a safe space for all of us, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that when I saw both images, like even before they were a lenticular image, I thought that it was like a very like interchangeable space. Like I was like, wait, this looks like another room in my grandparents' house. Like I was like really excited but kind of confused at the same time, because there is a room. There are a couple of rooms, where there is one room in my grandparents' house where they have an altar and they have like a corner just like this. So I was like, it's just like really exciting to kind of see like Latinx like cross culture in, I don't know, in like so many ways, right? Like my grandparents, your mom, like all of these things that are sort of like very attached to all these like histories and narratives, and they just like sort of like meet one day, and it was like, oh, these images were supposed to meet. So I think it's like really exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And a little note here, I used to live in Humboldt Park, which is a Puerto Rican neighborhood in Chicago for like several years. So I'm like, it just kind of like, you know, I was like, wait, how do they know this, you know?
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being part of this show. I appreciate you both. Cool. Then we have another amazing, talented artist from San Diego. We have Ricky and Magdalena. I know they're both here in the house. So welcome to the show. And if you want to share some thoughts about your work and who you are.
Go ahead, Magdalena, or if you want to go first.
Sure. Yes, I could go first. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being in this space. I'm excited to be a part of this art exhibit. Thank you, Alejandro and Delana, for organizing this, and also more than anything, I think what I'm valuing about this experience is just like the community of artists that you all are bringing together that otherwise I think would not be in this space together. So I'm very excited about that. So my photo, this is a photograph that I took while this was, I think, March of 2020 and I was in Cuba. I was studying abroad, working on my master's in documentary filmmaking. And I took this photo, I think, one of the last times that we were allowed to go on these short trips to Havana. Our school was on the outskirts of the Havana. And on the way back, we were met with these two gentlemen that before our school bus could enter the school, met us with this solution of hypochlorito. I think it's sodium hypochlorite. And they used it to wash our hands. And so at that moment, it seemed a very like alarming. I mean, the whole pandemic and everything, just the protocols, everything was very new. So it seemed like a very important moment to document. Just the mask, I think it was one of the first times we were starting to see people with masks on as well. As you can see, other people in the photo are not wearing masks. So that's what drove me to try to document this moment. I'm happy that I was able to capture it and it was exposed and everything turned out really well. But yeah, that's a little bit of the background of the photo.
Thank you. All right, and then we work with Ricky.
Cool. Hey, everybody. Well, a little bit about this photo. This photo is actually, I took this photo when I started a solo project that I've been working on over the last couple of years called How It Feels to Be 8. Essentially, it's just diving into my old family photos, kind of looking for clues from the past to kind of help me navigate the future. And this photo is kind of like, I mean, it looks like a collage, but it wasn't an intentional collage. It was kind of me just documenting this time, like where I just opened this can of worms. And I feel like it was just like this big shift where like I knew like a lot of things about my life were going to change with this like new information that I was receiving. And also I think being trusted with some of these photos, because a lot of these photos, like my grandmother like gave me like from her hands, you know, and like trusted me to like keep them safe. And so just like kind of drove me into like archiving. And so just like been working on that the last couple of years. So that's pretty much a little bit of background from my photo.
Thank you. And then same for you both. I don't know, how was the experience of seeing both of your work next to each other? And I don't know if there was something else that you discovered about your work that you couldn't see until you have the opportunity to have this kind of pairing.
I think, well, I guess I'll just share since I haven't muted yet, but what I found interesting, I think right away, is I think I know that we share like a mentor, and so it's just interesting to be paired up with someone that like had the same mentor as you. And I just like after hearing Magdalena speak right now, it's just kind of funny that these are kind of like these points in our lives where like everything is about to change. I had no idea. I just kind of got this strong sense of like documentary, like something was being documented, right? And so like I was just like, seems like a pretty crucial moment, and I feel like this is like it's similar to mine.
I don't know if I was able to draw a lot of like connections, I think, between the two, but I really loved just seeing my image paired up with somebody else's, and there was just a lot of mystery. I think there's a lot of mystery in the other photograph that I was paired up with, and it's something that I think I still want to like learn more about. I want to know more about the photo and this postcard and all of this treasure of history that we see in the photo with all the family and everything. So I want to know more about it.
I agree. That's how I feel with, I can't wait to see the rest of Ricky's work. And I admire both of you guys a lot as artists. So it's just cool to see two of my friends paired up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Cool.
Alejandro, can you tell, I have a question for you. Like, I'm wondering, and I don't know if you already talked about this, but I'm curious to know why you paired these photos together.
I think something that, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I was, when I was just looking through Instagram, I think everyone's work bring me some sort of like feeling of familiarity and something that I could relate to. I think I honestly, all of you, like the 10 artists that are here today, I look at your Instagram like almost every day because I relate to you and I feel like to your work, and I love how your work makes me feel. So when I was looking through Ricky's work, you pop up in my head, and I think that there's a lot of connections between your work. I feel like in these two photos specifically, there's a lot of like I said, like you both said, documentation of even time, but I feel like a little bit more specific, like the documentation, of course, like photography is documentation as a whole, but I feel like within your work, I feel like it's more present. So that's how I was able to think about you two together.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. And we have Charlie and Javier. I know they're here in the house. Hi, welcome.
Hey.
I think we can start with you, Charlie, if you want.
Sure. So my name is Juan Carlos Beaz, and I'm primarily a printmaker, but this photograph was pulled from, I believe, 3 years ago when I was doing like a random project based off making masks. So a lot of my work pretty much revolves around being resourceful and reusing materials and stuff like that. So this photograph was taken just to pretty much document the mask that I made, kind of on a whim, because I had like some cardboard laying around and I thought it was just a cool idea. So I had my nephew Isaac pose for it. So this photograph pretty much came naturally. It was really organic because obviously my nephew was probably just running around and you know, he's always down to help out here at the house, like when I'm doing something. So then I had him kind of just pose for it. The hat belongs to my dad, and then the plant is my sister's, and then the bed sheet was I think it was already hanging in the backyard in the tendedero. So it was a pretty organic photo, but so a lot of my work tends to revolve around just my roots, being first generation here in the US, my parents from Mexico, and I always tried to make a connection to pretty much my where I come from, and kind of find and create my own identity and stuff like that. So so the main idea, there wasn't really a main idea to this photograph. It just, like I was saying, it came out naturally, and it eventually ended up being a project that I worked with Hill Street, where I did like a mask making project, and also for Backbend Society, which is another gallery in Vista. So it was a fun little project that ended up becoming more than I expected. The whole mask making thing also, it was cool because it ended up being part of Javier's solo show that he had. I believe it was like the same month or a month after or something like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Pusiste el mood en tu... Ahí está.
And cool. Now we have my lovely brother, Javier Arreguin.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here and taking the time to listen to us and our ideas. And yeah, thank you to the Hill Street for giving these opportunities, to like Alan and Delana, their crew, to make something happen like this. It's pretty cool. I am the only person here that is not a photograph, which also kind of, I'm like, thank you, because I'm like, which makes sense that I'm with Charlie too. It's so nice to be with photographers and documented oriented artists, and this one is a lino cut, and I just scan and make it like that. And this is a story like a I came to the States undocumented in 2009. So I feel like a lot of the people that goes through the undocumented immigration process, where they have to find a coyote or a family related to cross them through the border or the mountains. I feel like I'm not the only one with this experience, obviously. So this is kind of like a vision that I had, where it's more like a tale that I'm trying to say for everyone who's crossed through a coyote. And it's more like a symbol of all these people going through that. And yeah, like it just kind of relates to who I am. And like, my dad crossed the border for me, or we use some methods to cross, but my dad was the person driving with my aunt. So I feel like he was my coyote, and not everyone can say that all the time. And so I have that really personal connection with coyotes in that sense of immigration. So this is kind of like, this person is inside of a coyote, or like hiding to this animal, and giving the spirit to the land that's crossing to, like giving it away. And I like that it's like there's natural elements where it's like uncontrollable. I don't think you can control things like that. Whatever we think or opinion is about it, like, it's something natural and uncontrollable. So I like that aspect of it. And yeah, I mean, thank you so much for having me with photographer. Like, what, like, cool, like, thank you so much. And yeah, same for Charlie. Like, I feel like it's the first really nice picture I've seen. Like you say, it was organic.
Cool. And then same for you both. Like, I don't know, it's very beautiful seeing your work together. You're both very dear friends of mine, and having your work together just made sense for me. So I don't know how it was to see your work next to each other, and like what brought to your attention.
Um, so I kind of like knew that I was going to be paired up with Javier's work just because naturally, like, I feel like our work really complements each other. And even outside of these two images, I feel like our art kind of is in the same realm, but not exactly the same, but kind of we reach different corners, if that kind of makes sense. So I don't know, it's nice seeing our work together. Yeah, it takes me back to when he had his first solo show back in yeah, I think it was 2017, and he asked me to make these masks and have them kind of be like an interactive thing. So it just takes me back to that time where our work was kind of side by side at that point as well. So it's really nice seeing these two together.
Yeah, same. Like I knew just because I also it happens to be that I also know Juan's family. Like I've been in his house. His mom is really really nice, really beautiful family, and they're all really welcoming. So I feel like we have a like a complementary thing. We're like, yeah, we're them too. Like I don't know how to explain it, but thank you for putting us together and reassuring it one more time.
And just so everyone knows, no one, like when we asked everyone to be in the show, we just like put the list of artists. I did not because I was trying to like make everyone wait to find out, but I just didn't have the time to like send all those emails being like, you're paired with this one, you're paired with this, and here's the final images. So basically everyone that's in the show kind of saw what pairing until we posted it on our Instagram, and some of them we hadn't. So yeah, I think it's really cool that some people like Alejandro, I'm just hearing like some people like Jezabeth and then be like, I think I'm going to be paired with this person. I feel like I'm going to like, that's like your magic that you did in this show. And just like the fact that people knew who they connected with, like that's the magic of this show. So I love hearing that. Thank you guys for sharing.
Definitely. Thank you. And yeah, I feel like all of you guys' work is very essential for our community, not just in San Diego, but in general. And is necessary for other people to see it too. And that's why I think it's very amazing having you all here. I know that there might be questions, and I really want to make sure that other people get to talk to you. So if anybody on our audience, we have a quite large audience, honestly, and I'm very happy for that. So anybody have any questions for our artists today?
Yes, I want to say this is Andrea. Hello. Congratulations to all of the artists. Alejandro, I'm just so impressed with the way that you combined the works, you and Delana. So I was wondering, did you all try different formations and combinations of the images before you landed on the ones that we're seeing? But I mean, amazing. Just congrats to everyone.
Thank you. And then I kind of missed the question. I'm so sorry. If you can repeat that one more time.
Did you do like a bunch of different combinations with the photographs before you put them together?
Honestly, not really. I think everything was a one like shot. I honestly like I mentioned earlier, the people that make me the people that their work make me feel something, I really pay attention to them. So I think I was very aware of the artists that make me feel something with their art. And that impact my life with their work. And I think that I just wanted to share that. So like I said, like like for example with Jezabeth, um, since I started following her and see her work and like her video work and everything, it just like bring me some sort of like comfort to see that. And then also seeing William's work brings me a different kind of comfort. So like I as soon as I was looking for a photograph, I already was thinking of an artist to pair them with. So it came very natural. It came super like I don't know. It was like meant to be that way, you know. So yeah. Thank you for your question. And then the artist also can ask questions to the other artists, you know, like it's a casual open conversation.
Don't be shy. I know some of you want to ask a question.
Here, and I can actually let me share the gallery one more time. That way we can see the work through it.
We can also.
I kind of want to ask. Oh, sorry, Delana.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, Ale, we can also share that. I don't know if you have the slide with all the lenticular images like moving.
Yeah.
Go ahead, March.
I wanted to ask, I guess, kind of a general question, but specifically, Isabel, what did you shoot on? Because your photo is crispy and it's so satisfying. Like if it was film or digital. And I'm a little curious for other artists too, just what your practice is, because I got my degree in photography, but like when you're not in school, it's incredibly difficult to do film, which is so satisfying. But when you don't have the tools, I guess, you know, it's difficult.
Yeah, actually, my print, the ghost one specifically, was actually just on my Canon camera. It is digital, so that's why it probably has a little bit better detail. But I mean, I have shot with film too, and I mean, I do love kind of the raw, like graininess and everything that you can get with film. And yeah, but I think at that time I was trying to just shoot more digitally, so that's how I was able to get that picture specifically.
Dope. And if you have any interest in making prints of yours, sign me up.
Yes, definitely.
I had a question for Alejandro. I know that these lenticulars, they were part of a workshop involving like youth. That's like, is there more about that? Like,
Yeah. So here, let me find your photo because we're talking. There you go. Where is it? There you go. Yeah. So Dinah contacted me a couple of months ago. I think it's like actually last year, and she asked me to be part of the teaching, to be a teaching artist for the mobile art workshop. And then the mobile art workshop came out, like, of course, it was going to be in person, just like providing art practices for the youth or just for the community that don't have too much access to these kind of activities, you know. And we distributed the kids, so 50 kids goes to I don't know what's this place called, but pretty much the cool thing is like the Oceanside Library is provides materials for mainly people of color. So when I was putting the artists together, I was like, I think that sometimes practices like this or artists who have opportunities like this sometimes are hard to be like, I don't know, there's not a lot of people of color that are providing this kind of opportunities. So as a person of color, I was like, of course, I'm gonna find as much relatable work as I can for the youth, you know, because they need to see this, you know, they need to see that there is people that that look like them and they are doing things like this, you know. So that's something that I have a lot in mind, especially now having a position where that's just what I do for a job, you know, like what I do for a job is care for my community. And I think that um, providing things like this definitely can impact someone's life, even though it's just like a piece of paper, like with two powerful images. that can create a change, you know. So that to me is something important. Something that is hard though is being in touch with those people, with the people that receive the package or the kit. So that I'm intrigued to see how the people that receive the kits, how do they respond to your work. So, and that's something that's an information that I wish I had, but we don't. And that's something that we can look forward more in the future. So yeah, I don't know if I answered the question, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, you got it. Thanks.
Of course.
And the video where Alejandro is doing a tutorial is just posted on Hill Street today. Also, all of the past tutorials we've done are on our YouTube channel at the Hill Street Country Club. So you can just see how monthly we try to put out a video that's geared towards the community to do art from home, especially during the quarantine. Oh, and then Alejandro, we have a question in the chat from Pat.
Yeah. Let me see.
You want me to read it?
Please. I have so many screens.
It says, how do the artists and the curator feel about the scale shift? The works are so much larger in the digital space than it is in the physical space, even though they appear smaller on our screens. But in relation to the digital architecture, the digital works are much larger than the physical ones. So just like, how do you feel about just the change in the scale and how that affects work?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
No, like obviously digitally you can kind of manipulate the work in a very like extreme ways, you know, like make an image very large appearing in a very small screen, you know. And I think seeing it like that, I'm like, I wish I could print my work that huge, but it's super expensive to imagine to print one of you guys' image like the whole wall, like you know, I think that's very expensive. So it's just kind of like those two contrasts, that you can do a lot of manipulation obviously digitally than what is possible or like, you know, close to your accessibility in a daily life to make such a big picture, because you also have to think about like where you're gonna put it, or like my space and like blah blah. So I think it's nice to see it big because digital can do that. Yeah. So that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. It was nice to see how like them that big in the digital space. As you guys can see behind Alejandro right now on his screen, you can see the size of the prints. I hope that everyone takes some time. Let me just insert really quick, so a little like, I hope everyone takes time to like register and go see the exhibit in person. We don't yet have the lenticular images up, but they're gonna be really large. But we will. Oh, we have.
Yeah, we have.
Oh, we do. Okay. And then also on the website, we have prints for sale, as well as the originals for sale, as well as prints of the lenticular images for sale. So go ahead and check those out if you're just, what do you call it? Like, I forgot the word, but if you're one of the artists, tell your friends that your work is available for sale. 50% of the prints that are sold are going to a mutual aid fund in San Diego, a local mutual aid fund. And I am going to ask each artist what fund they want to donate to once their prints sell. So that's just something to keep in mind, that 50% of the prints will be going to mutual aid.
Thank you.
I think.
Go for it. No, please.
I was just gonna touch on one more on the sizing question too, just like blowing up. And I think for me, just since I'm working with a lot of like old family photos, and some of them are just like 4x4s, and use like some old notes in some of my other pieces where I collage some like old notes and fortunes from fortune cookies that like my grandpa used to save. And those are really small. A lot of those pieces fit in the palm of my hand, but I think when you enlarge those, it kind of gives them a different, kind of gives them a little bit more importance, you know, kind of turns them into like something bigger than just like that little thing in your hand. You can really see it up close. And I think like being able to interact with it like that in a bigger size, like lets you step into what that object maybe like means. You know what I mean? So I think that's definitely one of the reasons why I go bigger with some of my work.
Does anybody would like to add something to Pat's question?
I was a little bit surprised, like the drastic difference between in person and the virtual reality, but it's also kind of amazing because I feel like a lot of artists maybe don't necessarily jump to wanting to print really large. So it's kind of great to like literally see the potential of like, is this going to be okay if I go big? Because if like Javier said, like it is really expensive, and especially now like finances are kind of tight. So just to be able to digitally alter it is kind of great. And then I agree with Ricky, like, you know, there's some things that you really do want to print big because you want to draw attention to these smaller items, but then some more like really, some pieces do well very small and very intimate. So it is no doubt, like Pat said, like a pretty drastic difference, but it's kind of great, I guess, since you can't physically be there to see it, to just be able to have them blown up and not lose the quality, I think was pretty great for this show for sure.
Yeah, I wanna mention something too. Originally I have another version of, not another version, but another edition of that work, which is 40 by 50. I love like printing big, like, and it was for my thesis show, so I had to like cover quite a bit of space in that wall. But you know, for me, like being, especially like having shown in some institutions and like, you know, white galleries, kind of like, you know, filling up the space and having folks kind of look up to it, and you know, kind of put that stuff in the pedestal is something that like I kind of like doing. So this for me was a little bit small, and I was like, oh no, I mean, I think I haven't done smaller work in a while, so I think it was something that I also like was seeing to see how it interchanges too.
It's kind of been an interesting thing. Like, I'm not sure how many viewers have physically been in the Hill Street Gallery, but it's a really large space and it can be really intimidating, but it's been kind of awesome to see the variability in pieces, because no doubt we've had quite a few artists that have done some larger pieces, you know, but this one, it's just kind of a crazy realization, like you don't have to always go huge, you know. Like I feel like that's something in art school that it was always kind of a joke, like go big and make it red, you know. So, and that's what it qualifies it to be something artistic or an art form. But I think it's just, I enjoy the flexibility that has come with art practices. Like there's not such a confinement anymore to sizes, you know.
Yeah.
I'll kind of speak to the size.
No, please go.
Okay.
I want to listen to you.
I was just gonna say too, for the two images, like mine and Lisa's together, like seeing it virtually so large is actually pretty cool too. Because I mean, I've never printed that big, but I feel like it almost like brings you into the space more, and like it kind of is almost more immersive that way. So it's like you could be physically there. Like if I was to look at that in real life, like it would probably be life size, which is kind of wild to think about. And like even like William and Jezabeth's images, it's like it almost like takes you there, like you're physically in that space, and it's like you do feel that like sense of comfort and like, wow, like yeah, like this is home kind of a feeling with it being so large.
Yeah, that's something that I definitely did not consider as far as like creating the virtual gallery? And it's a great question, you know, because definitely the scale of the work, I think has like different approaches, you know, and when I see something small, I want to like take care of it, you know, like I want to like see it and like just like admire it in a very sentimental way, or in a very like caring way. When I see something large, it submerged me in the environment or in the mood of the photo. And I think kind of like now that I'm here physically with the work and I can walk around a little bit, and then after like seeing the virtual gallery, I think that like definitely the scale. Hold on, I lost my thought. I don't know. I love the flexibility that the digital, like this kind of like virtual digital gallery allows us to kind of like try things that we haven't done in the past. But I feel when I'm in a person, in a physical space, I think having the images this kind of size, like a smaller size, it allows me to like, to I don't know, like go get closer, seeing it like in more in detail instead of just like being a little bit back and like just admiring it from different places. I think like this size to me personally gives me that opportunity to like get close to it and like understand it in a more like intimate way. Um, so I think that's how I feel about like just like the different sizes. But yeah, hopefully that was clear.
Yeah, thank you. There's definitely something different about being in the space and looking at all of the photos, being able to like look around you. Whereas in the virtual gallery, as you can see, like we just focus on one at a time. But when we're in the space and seeing all the photos together, there is a message that's coming across from like the lenticular versions. And I was feeling a lot of like, we were talking last night about the vibes that we were getting from it. Like I was feeling a lot of like healing, being like the photography or just the act of whatever your art medium was to all the artists in the show. Like I felt that what you captured and that what we put in the show was something that has like healing properties for a lot of people. Like Ricky's project, for example, documenting, trying to like document your family and to understand yourself, and then the act of taking a photo of that, of doing that. Like a lot of people's work, Javier's like was the same, Angelica's, I was feeling like this is like just like documenting of an identity that you find is beautiful of someone. So I wondered if any of the artists like wanted to speak. Oh, also Isabel, like your photo says so little but so much. And so I just wanted to know if anyone has something to say about the way that their identity is connected with the art that they produced. And I would like to start with Isabel, if you would start with the ghost. It's mysterious, of course, and I want to hear more.
Sure. Well, yeah, I mean, I would say a lot of the work that I do is solely identity based. Like I do work in mostly self-portraits. And the reason I do so is, I mean, I am my own easiest subject that I kind of joke. But really, like, I feel like I'm able to kind of like, I mean, it's kind of silly, but I feel like I can do what it is I want to in an image, whether it is just like kind of stand there or like I have other self-portraits where it's like I have different masks on and stuff. So I feel like when I was making this image, I wanted to kind of specifically have a ghost sheet on because I feel like kind of obscuring the identity is what makes it so mysterious. And I feel like allowing that allows anyone to kind of insert themselves into that narrative. So I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of like what Alejandro was saying when, you know, he's kind of giving these images out to kids to kind of see themselves in the work. Like that makes me so excited because it's like, wow, someone can like see themselves as this ghost among this like cactus and stuff and kind of like standing resilient in the middle and like I'm the center of attention. even though there's like kind of a more mundane background, I feel like it kind of changes the like mood of everything. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely say a lot of what I do is identity based. It's like kind of taking back that sense of belonging. Because I mean, I am, yeah, like I identify as a Chicanx artist as well. And I feel like the images that are expected of Chicanx artists is like one way, like one idea, but it's like, no, like you can be kind of anything you want. You don't have to conform to like a single idea. You can be a ghost among cactus and you're still Mexican, you know? So I feel like very strongly about that.
Thank you for sharing that. It's funny how you're like, oh, you said right now, I'm the center of attention, but you literally are like, it's ironic, like you're a ghost, like ghosts are supposed to be invisible. So that's why I was so interested. But thank you so much for sharing, Isabel. Does anyone else have a comment on this aspect of your work? Jezabeth?
Me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually where do I start? I think I got a lot of pushback probably when I was in my undergrad about like making work about my family and how it was like kind of repetitive or the same. And I also remember like never having like any examples of Puerto Rican photographers or like Boricua artists. And so I think I made like this promise to myself that I was like, okay, then like maybe one day I will be in like my work will be an example for someone, or maybe one day like it'll serve more than just like a project that I started when I was in school. When you guys talked the other day about sharing the images and like talking about the work with the kids in the community, I was like, well, like that's so awesome, because like that's literally like probably like one of the first things that I thought. Like I think that when I started documenting my family, I was like, maybe this could be a book in the school that someone can find sometime, because I couldn't find in like the library of the school or anything things that I could relate to. And when I did, it was only, or when examples were provided to me, it was only like one person. And I was like, oh man, like that's a lot of pressure for this person. And also like we have like different identities. So, and honestly, also just like focusing on my family, like I just want to document them because they're alive. I'm like, who gets like, not everyone gets to do that. So I maybe sometimes, there's my cat. Sometimes like, I think that I focus too much on documenting, and so like I try to like create balance and whatnot, but I love that my entire practice revolves around the people that have like given me like so much care, and like individually outside of like the art world, like the person that I am is because of them, because of all these personalities, because of this space, because of like all of the things that happen. So I feel like really happy that I get to work with them, for as long as they're willing to, and as long as that I can work with them. And I feel like that's like, it's also like a collaboration between us, you know, because there are many times where I want to be like, hey, can we make this photograph, or can we make this video? And everyone's like, yeah, but let's make like this way, or my nephew's screaming, or someone's doing something, and then that is the work. And I'm like, well, part of like working with my family is that I don't make all of the decisions, and I shouldn't have to, because it's about them. Yeah, I don't, does that talk about that answer?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Something that that I want to point out too is that photographing people, like there has to be a sense of vulnerability from both ends, you know, and just like I definitely understand like photographing your family needs a sense of comfortability, you know, like not everyone is comfortable with that, and the way that you create that for them is beautiful, and I've always seen it very admirable. So thank you for that.
And I'm so happy.
Sorry.
No, sorry, Jezabeth. I just want to say really quick, I'm so happy that Alejandro like put me on to you, because there's not that many Puerto Ricans in San Diego. And then like and just the way, just so everyone knows, this photo was named Remedio Casero. So Jezabeth's photo was the inspiration for the title of the show. And then I'm a Boricua and she's a Boricua, and it's just cool to see. I can't wait to connect with you in the future.
Oh my God, I'm really excited too. I also wanted to answer to Marge, because you asked earlier about like the mediums, and this entire project was shot with a large format. When I was like literally learning how to use or photograph with large format, and I would just like plop this giant camera and try to explain to my family that they couldn't move. I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this photograph. It's gonna take like 10-15 minutes. And they're like, what? So even the process of using a large format with my family, who in person are like very like fast. They're just like, they're always doing something. They're always like moving fast. And I'm like, everyone needs to slow down. And that I felt like was like the beginning of us working together, because then we would have to spend all of this time together, sort of like forming an image, and they made a lot of the decisions. And I was just sort of like the person with the release or with pushing the thing. But it was like a really good introduction into us working together, because then we just had to rely on patience. And a lot of them always have something blurry, because my nephew would walk by and kick the camera when I would photograph, or put his hand on it and I would just like kind of like hold him, or my grandpa would just like move the tripod, because you really understand that large format has to be like still. So just like working with them in this like giant camera, just showing up, being like, hey, I'm gonna document you guys. There's this giant camera. Let's take 20 minutes per photograph. I have 3 boxes of film. That in itself was like so much labor, but also like very like fruitful.
Yo, I just want to say that is dope that you did large format, because hell yeah, that is the struggle and with your family, and just the general like elements that completely affect that. It's such a temperamental little thing, but like you can see like your depth of field is amazing. Like, I mean, as chaotic as it maybe have been for you, like it's still like, it's a good one. That's pretty dope. I would love to see some more of that large format work. That's great. Cause same, like I haven't shot large formats since I've been in school, and it was, like you said, like so much work, but when you can get it, it's just like, oh yes.
Yeah.
So props. I'm pretty stoked that you did that.
Thank you.
I do have a question. This is more like about the technicality of like shooting with the format too. Did you develop this in Puerto Rico?
So I photographed everything in Puerto Rico, and I made my bedroom into sort of like a dark room just for changing film. And I boxed everything. And when I tried to fly to the US, they didn't allow me to bring my film because it was in a box, and they're like, we have to open it. And I was like crying, just like, No, like if you expose this, like everything is gone. So, and it was like a 2 a.m. flight because all of the flights from near my house are like in 2 a.m. because it's a small airport. So my mom was able to mail them to me to the US. And we didn't have any issues with that. But flying with it was just no. And also just sort of like having like a portable bedroom, like dark room to change film, which I just put like black bags in all of the windows. I mean, like Puerto Rico is like a really bright place. So it was like just like covered in black. I remember my sister going into the room and she was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I can't ruin this film. And some of them have like light leaks around. I mean, at one point the camera fell like down this like plantain like farm. Just a lot of stuff happened to it, but I was able to get the photographs and get them here. But that started other like mail collaborations with us. So like even like sending the film, I was like, oh, what else can we send?
Yeah. Can I ask one more question? If anybody else have a question, you can go ahead, but I do have another question for you. I know one of the reasons why I love film so much is because the way I see it is like there is a communication with time that is not really talked about. Especially photographing something that is not from here and something that brings you familiarity here, you know? Something that I found beautiful about film is just like recreating that photograph after you shot it, you forget kind of about it. And then when you're developing again, I feel like that sense of communication with time that I'm talking about is um, I don't want to lose my thought. It's kind of like recreating that moment that you photographed, but like the only thing that you remember and like the way that you can like develop it and think about it is just like the sense of memory, you know? I don't know if that makes sense, but how was that kind of like experience of like shooting and not being able to develop it in Puerto Rico and like coming to the States and seeing it again, but like having a different perspective of it because already time has passed. So you kind of like detach from that moment. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely had like a visual of what I thought that they would look like. You're not able to see or go through the images that you make. And I hand processed them when I was in school because I had learned how to process film, like color film. And then just like taking them out of the container and just seeing them right there and like they're like an orange, like the orange film that just like the light and shadow, I was like blown away by what they could be and having to wait for them to dry and everything and then just like finally being able to scan it. Like I think when I started scanning this like project, I would just cry. I was just like so excited. One, I was excited that they turned out, because the possibility was that I could have like messed everything up when I processed it. And also, I don't know, in transport or whatever. And then just like actually seeing that they turned out, I was like, this is what this looks like. And it's very accurate to what the room looks like, but also just kind of not. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Anyone else have questions for Jezabeth? I know there's some artists that have left the meeting, but I don't know if there's more questions for Javier or for Ricky or for Juan, Magdalena. Anybody? Or if you guys want to share something about your work, like if you want to like just like expand something about your work.
Okay, I'll add a little something. So just to jump off of what you guys were saying before, like film, I started shooting with digital, but film, I started maybe like a year ago, and I feel like it's a completely different experience. And like you have to be there in the moment when you're shooting your film, and then you kind of forget about it, like you guys were saying. And then to be able to like, whenever you scan it, you develop it and you scan it and you actually see those photos. Like for me, I always get really emotional because it's like magic, like just being able to see it like come to life. But regarding my picture, one thing I did want to say, so me and Stephanie, like when we shoot, we do use a lot of elements from like Chicano culture. But one thing that it represents healing to me, just because of like also the makeup, the clothes, like all of that is not related to gender at all, but it's a way that I am able to express myself and her also, and us be able to like heal and be confident. And like everybody can use that in their own way to express themselves, how they feel, and like different elements of their culture, like using the iconography in her nails, like the Virgin Mary on her nails. But yeah.
Yes, that is so powerful. I mean, just like the freedom to accessorize, to stand out, to feel unique or feel more confident. That's something I relate to a lot. And this photo has captured like some of the 4 like main things that are so important to me, like your hoops, your lip liner, your nails, and then what outfit you choose to wear. Like that's where it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
like a lot of people will say, sorry to interrupt you, that like that they could be materialistic or things like that. Like I've had some family members that like they will say comments like that, I guess. But I'm like, to me, it's like more than that. And it's like you're saying, like there's nothing like that feeling where you put on your earrings, like you have your nails, you're ready, and like you feel good. And it's like it goes hand in hand, like feeling good on the inside and the outside. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's something I definitely, I mean, you know, I love your work, but it's something I definitely relate to as like a feminine. I like identify as a feminine type of person, very feminine, but in my expression of my like physical. But it doesn't mean that's how I am, if that makes sense. It's more so you mentioning that concept is really important, because it's just, yeah, I know we could talk about that another time, but I love to see it.
Thank you.
I think one thing.
Go ahead, Ricky.
My bad. I think one more thing I just want to share about my piece. I know it's like a lot about it's family, and I think one reason that really drove me to like look at my family in the first place was just the fact that I work with my community and like being an educator. And I think to be able to really connect with like the community, it kind of makes you reflect on like how you're interacting with like your home base, like the people that are closest to you. And to, I don't know, I think to really contribute something for, especially working like with youth, I kind of look at like how am I behaving like in my closest quarters?
Yes.
And then like what kind of messages am I putting out there? Like, you know what I mean? And so just, I think this, like the beginning of this was just kind of like find that alignment to like be able to push forward like the best that I can, you know what I mean?
That's literally the conversation we had last night, Ricky, and it was about your piece, and it was about how can, as an artist, your healing process and your generational, like whatever it is, like it could be trauma, it could be just like your ancestors, how are you going to take that and use and be vulnerable with it? You have to choose to be vulnerable with it, which you've done. And then how are you going to use that and share with your community, and how do you want your community to respond to that? And me and Marge, Javier, and Alejandro were talking about that last night a lot. And I think that like this photo does that for me. So if that's like, to hear you say exactly what we were thinking, just means that it's what you're doing is like what you had in mind is happening. You know what I mean? Which is dope. Yeah. I seriously can't wait to see more of this.
Yeah, well, this like it's funny because this was not like I never intended to show like this really. I think because all the work that's attached to this project, they're all collages of very very small pieces, and so I just kind of like I took this as like just a marker, and it's just cool to kind of like just see the life that it has now, and like kind of how the importance of it like now. Just I appreciate y'all for making that happen too.
Yeah. I also love like your dad's ID photo and your ID photo. Like, and you guys, that's your dad, right? You guys look so much alike. Like, it's just so cool. I love to see that. I love it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Back to the liner cut. So some things that Ricky was saying, and also Jezabeth was saying about how photo brings family together, and how that can kind of connect to, seeing you pretty much directing the way you want to portray sometimes your family, or like what Isabel was saying, like, you're gonna have to stay there 15 minutes, and like, so they're already kind of like still, right? And I feel like that's what I kind of like like a lot about photography, but with liner cut and these type of things, sometimes it's a little harder for my family to be like, oh, that's cool, it's more like, y ese mono que, or like what is that little monster, or they feel like I'm tripping out or something, I don't know. But it's a different type of, I'm more kind of like recently I've been working more on listening to my family stories, and kind of I was like a little, just, I wouldn't say lost, just experimented with anything I kind of inspire me, that could be random things. But now that have a baby now, and I'm more at home, quarantine happened, like I'm able to stay still and hear my family out and their stories. And I think that's a little different with photography, because it's, imagine like they're telling you a story, but how do you recreate that story? Like you have to probably do a setup or like some type of scene, and it's more like them at the moment. So with this kind of imagery, I'm exploring more like, how can I tell their story, like tell their part of their identity and my identity, because we're family or community, and put it in a way that's like, can make you think of the work or their story, or like, what is it trying to say in this mono, like what is this monster supposed to do? And I think that's something different that I feel like I wish I could do more like photo too, because it's kind of like, yeah, and I will, and I feel like I do with my phone and whatnot, but
yeah,
with with this specific type of way of representing or directing your own narrative, or how you want to be perceived as, it's more symbolistic to me,
yeah,
than what my eyes are seeing at the moment, so
yeah. Right. Like what I'm hearing is like, from both of you, from a lot of you, is not only was the process, like making the art something that's helping your relationship with your family, helping you understand yourself, understand your family better, but what it does is, by putting it out there, if someone sees that, here's your story, Javier, and they're going to relate to that, like, it's not just helping you. So it's like our vulnerability ends up being a gift to others and ourselves. And I'm so corny, but
no, I totally feel Javier on that, because like I'm working with like images that have already been made, and so like sometimes I show like my family like a collage, and they're like, why did you put those images together? And it's they kind of look at you like you're psycho too, you know. So I totally like, I feel that, and then it's just like, there's a reason why you put them together, you know. You got to look at it.
Yeah.
And something that I also want to add to that, especially because I brought it up about photo and like pre-making and like the different approaches and like the different like reads from other people, you know. But that just makes me think of just like the whole purpose of what image making or art making is, and it's like the sense of documenting experiences, you know. And I feel like the way that just oh, sorry, I was reading the chat. The way that just the way that we are approaching art as a documentation form is it's dope, and I don't like see necessarily like a photograph. I personally don't see a photograph. I don't approach it differently than I would to a collage, or that I would to a printmaking or like a lino cut print. You know, like I think the whole idea of documenting through the arts is a very powerful tool, and that's why you're all here.
We got a question. Oops. From Pat. Was the decision, sorry, was the, I keep accidentally unmuting Javier. Sorry, Javier. Ignore me. The question is, was the decision to make the works into lenticular images meant as a metaphor for any particular multiplicity, perhaps the multiplicity of the artist's identities? Like, was your decision to do lenticular images, did that have to do with the artist's identities, or how did like which came first? Oh, you're muted.
Is Ali here?
I'm here. I think yes. When I was thinking of the artists and pairing them, I think that the work by itself was representative of their identities, and I was very interested in seeing how, because that was my focus when I was looking for artists. You know, that was like my focus. Is like not necessarily knowing that the show was going to be called Remedio Casero, but how Remedio Casero fit into the content of the images, and like this idea of adapting your practice to I don't know, like to kind of like show who you are and like where you come from. And I was very intrigued in like seeing these two images together to see what kind of narrative it will create by having these two identities completely different but being together, and like just like the whole idea of creating new narratives by here I'm gonna backtrack. Sorry. I was reading this article when I was choosing the photograph, the lenticular images, and I read something about how important is the next image. And this was mainly about filmmaking, you know, like how important is to choose the next image correctly. And that stick with me a lot. And that's why when I was looking through these images, I was like being very mindful on like the images that will be next. You know, like when you have this transition on the lenticular image, why was it important to have these two images together? Regardless of like their identities being like different or like not having the same identities, but like how will that narrative change by having them together? So hopefully that answered your question.
Cool. Does anyone else have any last questions? It's been almost 2 hours, so I feel like maybe we should wind down. But if anyone has any last questions, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess for the artists that are still here, do you guys have any closing remarks that that you guys want to share?
I just want to say thank you again to everybody that made this happen. I feel really honored and appreciative to be able to hear everybody talk about their work and share what they've been working on. I'm excited to just stay in touch and to continue to see what you guys make.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to say the same thing. Like, thanks for this opportunity, having me be part of the show, especially since I'm kind of out of my element in a photography oriented show. So I feel like I'm more, even though I'm part of the show, I also feel like a really big part of this is like I'm part of the audience as well, and like, you know, just like enjoying the artwork and taking it all in and feeling inspired by all the work. So I'm excited to see the work in person as well too. So I'm sure it's way different than the virtual. The virtual was really cool too. Like, that's the first time I see like a virtual art show. So it was pretty cool seeing it. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I just want to say something similar. It was really beautiful to hear all of you guys talk about your art. Like, it's one thing to see it, but it's another to hear your guys' story behind it. So I really appreciate hearing that, and thank you again, like, for all the hard work that you guys have put into doing this. Yeah.
I would like to also just echo everything that most people already said, but that I feel very inspired, and it's so beautiful to see and hear about everyone's process. I think I find it very nurturing just to hear people kind of expose themselves in that way and talk about all the intimate details of the process. I love being witness to that, and thank you everyone who has shared a lot about their process, and I'm excited to see more about the work that you all produce and to stay connected somewhere or another. Thank you everyone that participated in the show and everyone that put it together as well. Thank you.
Cool. Me?
Yeah, I think if you want to go.
I know, I'm sorry. I also just wanted to say thank you, and I'm very new to California, San Diego, Oceanside, so I feel like very special. I'm like, wow, this is like really beautiful. This is really special. Like, oh my God, like so tender. And I am like so happy that like literally some of the first people that I get to meet here are you guys. So I'm like, what a privilege. And I also wanted to say to your brother, Javier, that I am an empath, and like I've just been thinking about the story about the coyote, and I am probably going to think about that for like the rest of my life. And I really love that work, and I love like the tale, and literally as like he was like telling it, I was like just like visualizing it almost like surrounding me, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to cry. But I don't know. It's just like really special, and I didn't want to leave without saying that. But also, everyone's work is like so wonderful, and like thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much.
Cool. And if there is anything else to add, I also want to say thank you to all of the artists. If you haven't read the chat, people say that they're inspired, and thank you for your vulnerability. I think that was something that I wanted to share with everyone around the art, like my community, you know, like expose them to like important artists like you. So thank you so much for being part of this, and thank you, Delana and March and everyone who was part of this. And I'm very moved by you, and I've always been. So thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming.
Same. Thank you all. Again, I think we'll be up until February like 5th, maybe. So bring your families, you know, like bring your families and show them this exhibition, and not just to be like, look, mom, like I have a piece of, but you know, maybe you can talk about someone else's work. Maybe they have ideas, and that's just another way for us to connect with our families. I think that a lot of us, if we have the privilege of having families, or if we don't, like this quarantine is forcing us to like create connections beyond what we were used to before. We have to like make sustainable connections now, and they're important. And so that's who we have right now. And so I just look forward. I wished we could all be there together, because as you can see, there's magic in this group. However, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the future. And I know that everyone here is going to find someone and connect, and there's a bond. So thank you all so much.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate you all.